Hi, Chevra. Welcome back to Opining in Olam Haba. Hope you're enjoying it. I'm enjoying this learning. I really am. I want to wish everyone a guten Rosh Chodesh, a guten Chodesh, Mishnichnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha. Looking forward to restarting tomorrow the daily dose as well with Rosh Chodesh Adar. Here we go. So we left off with the Rambam really appearing reluctant to go into and describe what's going on in Olam Haba, what Olam Haba means, what the Messiah means, what the resurrection of the dead, all of that stuff, right? He's sort of, I don't want to say beating around the bush, but he's definitely expressing a reluctance to go into it, essentially saying, right, and we left off with this, it doesn't matter. Really the best way to study and practice and observe is to know that, like, you're doing it for the right reason, right? Just like Avram. But all that being said, he says at the end of the day, I get it. And I understand that, what I'm asking is a very lofty task. Perhaps even he's talking to himself, right? He's saying, I don't need this, right? He said, Abraham, Kiviyachal, or Lahavdil, Abraham, he didn't need it, but I can't pretend, or I can't expect every person to be like Abraham, or even to be like, perhaps he meant like himself. So therefore, just because human nature is such that we, on some level, need to have a kind of cost-benefit analysis in order to know that we're doing something that really counts, that's real. So, he's like, all right, fine, I'll give it to you. And he says, Ve'ein, so we're up to stanza 10. And here it is. Ve'ein ha'hamon mafsidin mikol v'chol ba'asotam ha'mitzvos miyiras ha'onesh v'tikvas ha'sachar. Said, look, don't get me wrong. You're not losing everything by doing the mitzvot out of this, through this cost-benefit analysis, through a fear of punishment or a hope for some reward. Ela she'ein bilti shleimim. Said, look, you're doing the mitzvot, right? They're happening, but they're not. Doing the mitzvot is not complete. They're not complete mitzvot. V'ulam zeh tov lahem, but it works for them. It's good for them. Ad sheyelem koach vehergel v'ishtadlus b'asiyas haTorah, so that these individuals who need these, incentives or this demerit system or whatever in order to function, it gets them accustomed to doing mitzvot, to learning Torah, and through that, they'll be motivated to know the truth, right? To eventually get to, the real crux, the real intention of mitzvah observance, of Torah, of Judaism. V'yachzeru ovdei me'ahava, and eventually they will come to serve out of love, right? So those who start through service out of fear, out of this sense of, I'm serving my master, for what he's going to do or not do to me, and eventually you'll get to love. V'zeu ma she'amru zal la'olam yasok adam b'Torah va'afilu shelo lishma shemitoch shelo lishma ba'lishma. And this is what the rabbi said. I'm sure you're thinking this as we're saying it, right? That one should always engage in Torah and mitzvos, even for the wrong reasons, even shelo lishma, even not for the sake of heaven, shemitoch shelo lishma ba'lishma, because eventually you'll do it for the right reason, right? And it's interesting, lishma, right? Literally for sake of Hashem. Here you're doing it for God, but on some level, it's tainted, right? Who are you really doing it for? Are you doing it for God, or are you doing it for, what reward you're going to get? Or from fear of some punishment you're going to get? So who are you really doing it for? Are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it for God? It's interesting, right? But the reality is you're still doing it. The way I like to explain this is, and it's a little bit of a different concept, but I think it relates. There's this idea of mitzvos tzrichas kavana or einon tzrichas kavana. Do mitzvot need intention or not? And the halacha is that no, mitzvahs einan tzrichas kavana, meaning, the famous case in the Gemara brings down a few places, someone kfo v'achal matzah, it's Seder night, right? We're almost there, by the way. We're, 6 weeks away. 6 weeks away. It's Seder night, and someone happens to tie you up, right, and shove a piece of matzah down your throat, not because it's Seder night, and you don't even realize it's Seder night. I don't know, whatever. A person's in jail, a person's incapacitated, whatever it is. And they shove a piece of matzah down your throat, and you swallow it. Or you yotzei the mitzvah. And the halacha is, mitzvah saying tzrichas kavana. Yeah, technically, as long as you know you're eating matzah, you're yotzei the mitzvah. No, you're not thinking about lechem oni, you're not thinking this, that, whatever. What's the idea? The idea is that you're creating the circuit, right? It's happening. It's almost like... think about the internet, right? When the internet first started, we had the dial-up connection, and the dial-up was based on our phone lines, right? And our phone lines are very thin, right? Very narrow lines, and that's why the connection was very weak. It took a gajillion years to just get on, and then to just even send an email. It was very difficult to download something, upload, whatever, right? So it was a connection, but it wasn't a great connection. However, right, nowadays, what do we have? We have broadband connection. What is a broadband? It means, right, there are these giant bands, giant cables that are laid, under the ocean beds and all, or whatever. And there are these broad bands, right? There's greater bandwidth, right? They're high intensity connections. Why? They're bigger, they're broader. That's the idea here. If you do mitzvot, actually out of love, you're not only making that dial-up connection like you do if you do it out of fear with the cost benefit, but if you're doing it because you really want to, and you want to build a relationship with God, and you want to be a better person, just because God said you should be a better person, you should be a good person, all right, and you should follow the ways of the Torah because that ennobles us, then you're broadening the connection, you're widening it. And it's a broader band, and it's a deeper connection, right? And it's more powerful. I think that's the idea. Anyways, continuing with stanza 11. Umimasha atat tzarich ladad kidiver chachamim zal nechleku bam b'nei adam l'shlosha kitod. All right, so once again, he's going to give us different categories. Last time he gave us more than 3 categories. Now he's going to give us 3 types of people in terms of what they understand from the words of the sages, how they understand Ma'amarei Chazal. Harishona, stanza 12. Harishona, v'hu rov mashara'iti. He says the first type of person, and these are most of the people that I see. Ashera'iti chiburav, and I've seen their works. Umashishamati alav, and what I've heard about them. Hey ma'aminim otam al pshatam. They understand, they believe, word for word what the rabbi said. Ve'in sovrim behen perush nistar b'shum panim, and they don't think that there's any sort of deeper meanings, any sort of metaphor involved here. There's something broader. No, they understand everything very literally. Ve'animna'o kulam hem etzlam mechuyavot hametziut ve'amnam osin kein lefi shelo hivinu achachma ve'im rechokim min hatvunot ve'in behem min hashleimut. So he says that the impossible things must correspond to reality, right? The nimnaot, the things that are like, what did I just read? What did it just say about that? Or I don't know. Take the nevuah where we talked about the Mashiach, right? I mean, that's a nevuah, not Ma'amarei Chazal, but of bread growing on trees or flying on wings of eagles. Again, those are words of the prophets. Those are not Ma'amarei Chazal, and those aren't rabbinic sayings. But we have so many rabbinic sayings, right, that say this or say that. You do this, you'll get Olam Haba. You do that, and they take it, and it sounds like really like what? That doesn't really make so much sense. Really, could that really be? And they look at it and they say, oh, this is what happened. This is what had to happen. But these people think that because they don't really understand the wisdom behind it, and they're far away from the real meaning, behind what the rabbis are actually saying. Ve'im be'em min hashleimus kedei sheyisaru me'eleihem v'lo matzu me'ora she'yororo sam sovrin shlo kivnu chachamim zal v'chol divrei ma'yishar me'amitukanim elam ha'shevinu lefi da'atam mehem v'shehem al pshutam. Right? No, that no one, they didn't have any good teachers to tell them, guys, think a little deeper. Did that really happen? Now, I'll give you an example. And again, this is a little bit off topic, but similar. And it's a Purim example. There's a famous story of Rabba and Reb Zera in the Gemara Megillah. Mamar Chazal, right? The rabbis tell us. Rabba and Reb Zera, they had Purim Suda together. And then it says they got so drunk, they drank a lot of wine. V'kam Rabba v'shachtei Reb Zera. Rabba got up and he killed Reb Zera. Killed him. Then he wakes up in the morning, the Gemara Megillah says, and Rabba realizes, he sees Reb Zera dead on the ground. He realizes what he did. So, oh my God, terrible. So Rabba davens for him and he resurrects him. He literally raises him from the dead, according to the Gemara. And the next year, it's a great story. The next year, Rabba, they get together, Purim time. They're about to, it's like, Erev Purim. And Rabba says, hey, Reb Zera, come over. We're going to have Purim Suda again. We had such a great time last year. Rabba says, yeah, no thanks. I can't rely on a miracle, that a miracle is going to happen every year. I'm out. Whatever. I have other plans, all right? I'll be washing my hair, whatever the case may be. And, there are people who take this Gemara literally, and they say, oh, yeah, he killed him, and then he brought him back to life. Come on. The Maharsha, who's a major Perush on Agadata in the Gemara, says that's not what happened. That's not what's going on. What were the rabbis saying? The rabbis were telling you the dangers of drinking too much. And the rabbis said that Rabba and Reb Zera got together, and Rabba forced Reb Zera to drink more than he could handle. And he literally, that's why it says, Shachtei Reb Zera. He got sick. Reb Zera got super sick. Not that he died, but he got sick. Maybe he passed out drunk. And Shachtei, right, using the word from the neck, he was throwing up, he was vomiting, it was gross, terrible. And then the next year, hey, you want to come over? And he's like, you know what? I'm good. You drink too much, right? My tolerance isn't as high as yours. And essentially, the rabbis were trying to tell us, take it easy. Drink, but don't go overboard, right? That's don't go crazy. So the Rambam basically is saying this, that they look at a Gemara like this. Oh yeah, that's what happened. No, and they didn't have any good teachers to tell them no. There's something more. There's something deeper, and you're missing something. If it sounds completely outlandish, you're missing something. So v'sheim al pshutam ve'afal pisha anir miktat divrayim. Sorry, kaddish v'lo matzah mor she'oro tam sover v'chol divrayim ha'yashar me'am tukanim elam ha'shevinu lefi da'atam mehem v'sheim al pshutam. And that they're literally you should take it for its literal sense. Ve'afal pisha anir miktat divrayim yesh ben min hadiba. Yesh min harbe ve'arichuk min haseichel. Ad she'ilu sofer al pshuto lamei aretz koshken l'chacham hayu tumeim b'yitbonen bahem. Right? Sometimes you look at it and say, okay, yeah, something like this happened, but certain things, certain stories, certain ideas that are expressed, literally, if you told that to a normal person, they're so far away from anything rationally understandable that even an ignoramus, or especially a wise person, would be astonished and look at him and say, what? That can't make sense. Okay, so that's the first type of people, they take everything literally. We'll continue on, God willing. Let's learn the lesson of Rabba and Rebbe Zera, not just not to drink too much, but also not to take everything literally in the sense, but really understand the rabbis were embedding deeper messages in the stories and the sayings that they taught us, the lessons that they taught us through the Gemara all the time, that endure throughout the ages. Have a great one.